Are you just making them bad, or are they like...
No, it's the coffee, sweetie.
Do we need to drink these? They don't have much flavor.
Yeah, all of them kind of suck.
Let's be real. Yeah, this is not a bad coffee.
Yeah, it's just right there. It's almost stale.
And it's not good. Give them entertainment. Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today we're trying 6 different decaf coffees from different brands. So we have everything from Starbucks, Peet's, we got Tim Hortons from Canada, and then we also got some from Whole Foods and a specialty coffee. And we'll be trying all these different brands to see which one is the best decaf coffee.
And then we're going to start by trying them all as a cold brew, where I prepared them overnight last night. I basically did about 20 grams of coffee to about 10 ounces of water and let them steep. And then we're going to try them with some ice to get them chilled. And that way we'll give some tasting notes about the coffees. And at the end, we're going to rank which one we think is the best to worst and which one you should definitely buy if you're looking for a decaf coffee. So let's get started.
So the first coffee we're trying is Dunkin's Decaf Medium Roast. It's a decaffeinated ground coffee. The rich, smooth taste of Dunkin's original blend decaffeinated.
Yeah, so unfortunately for Dunkin' Donuts, when you go to the store, they only have the ground version available, which is not something I typically like to do because ground coffee kind of goes bad within like a couple days of once you open it. So it's better to have whole beans, so it has a longer shelf life. But it also means that it's only ground for a specific setting. So if you want to change it up to being a French press to an espresso roast, you can't really do that. This is only kind of ground for like a flat bottom drip filter.
It's very bland.
Yeah,
There's got not a lot of flavor in that.
I know what the flavor is. It's kind of got that I don't know if it's the wrong ratio of water to coffee, but it's got this kind of burntness to it where it's just at the very end. So it's neutral or light roast coffee and then this lingering bitterness that's I've had it in things like Folgers and other lower tier coffees, that it's a pretty common flavor that something's wrong with it. And one of the main ways it probably is the ground coffee to water ratio.
This is very bland. It does not have much flavor. So if you want a coffee that tastes like water.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing really pleasant about it. There's no subtle notes to it. There's no berry or chocolate or cocoa.
It doesn't taste bad. It's not one of those ones where you drink and this is an ashtray. This is more of just neutral, but it has no flavor either way. So yeah. It's kind of just okay, so the next coffee we're trying is Starbucks' Decaf Pike's Place Roast. Has notes of cocoa and rich praline, and it's a medium roast.
I'm sure you're familiar with Starbucks, but the Pike's Place Roast that they have is a coffee they switched years ago to being their house blend that they always will have hot. And then this is basically the decaffeinated version of that. I haven't had this in a while, so we'll see how this one compares to what we just drank.
Yeah.
It's definitely got more flavor on the forward part of the coffee. It's not actually for Starbucks is kind of known for being super bitter or burnt. It doesn't really have that. It's light and then a note of coffee and then kind of falls off. What do you get?
Yeah, I don't like this one that much. I would say the Dunkin's, even though it had less flavor, was better than this one. This one I do taste a little bit of the burntness, and I really don't like that in a coffee. So yeah, this one's kind of not great.
Yeah, this is okay, not great. Overall, the flavor is kind of lacking.
I would probably not buy this coffee again. Okay, so the next coffee we're trying is Tim Hortons, also known as Timmy's. Decaf, it's a fine ground coffee, and it's a medium roast. So let's see how Timmy's is.
Oh, it's not bad. It's almost got a nuttiness to it. It's not compared to the last two that we had, those had a weird kind of aftertaste. This one I feel it's very light. It's much lighter than the other two. But the key tasting note I get is nutty. Mm-hmm. What do you get?
Yeah, I definitely say this is nicer than the Starbucks one that we just tried. And it has a little bit of flavor to it. So I would say this one definitely beats out Dunkin's. So I would say this is pleasant to drink. It's not the best, but pretty decent. Okay, the next coffee we're trying is Peet's Coffee. It's a decaf dark roast. It's their house blend with tasting notes of smooth, satisfying, and sweet.
It's got that same weird flavor that Dunkin's had, but in the beginning of the flavor profile.
You mean Starbucks?
No, the one that I thought what Dunkin's tastes like at the very end, like this like weird lingering bitterness that's like off. It has that like almost immediately to me.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's not good.
It's not pleasant. No.
No, I would not recommend this coffee at all.
Yeah, I think this one might be the worst of the
Yeah.
ones we've tried so far. Next coffee we're trying is from the bulk section in Whole Foods. It's their Allegro roast. So they have a variety of types. So this was their decaf espresso roast. Again, I was able to buy this as a whole bean. Especially, I only bought a little bit just to try it for this video. And then I just ground it last night on a coarse ground because we made it for cold brew, which is normally how I do it, similar to like a French press grind, and just filter it and ready to try it.
Yeah. It doesn't have any weird flavors to it, which is nice. Again, it's not very strong in any of the flavors.
No.
So it's more mild, but it doesn't have any of those weird off flavors that we were getting in the other ones. So I would say like it's decent.
Yeah, it's not bad for like having as a cold brew. I would say there's no like overall like tasting notes to it. I would say like I can't pick out any of like dark cherries or chocolate. I don't really get any of that. It's just kind of smooth and drinkable, which isn't too bad for an iced coffee. Because again, like normally when you have a colder beverage, you're going to mute some of the more extreme notes. So I wonder how this would taste a little bit more as a warm coffee or an espresso it was meant to be.
And the next coffee we're trying, we got from Whole Foods, and it's called Rock Canyon Coffee. It's their decaf blend. The tasting notes are dark roast, bittersweet cocoa, and cinnamon. Not bad.
Not bad, yeah. I don't know if it's just switching to whole bean from the pre-ground stuff, but it lost, both of the last two of these has lost that weird aftertaste. This one's definitely a lot smoother. I don't really get a whole lot of bitterness from it, but making a cold brew is going to give it to you that way. It is enjoyable as is. I mean, this and the last one were pretty smooth and delicious compared to the first four.
I would definitely say that the whole bean coffees we've tried have a better flavor profile when we've tried them in the cold brew form.
If we were to buy any of these again, of the four ground ones, the only one I would even consider drinking was Tim Hortons. That one didn't have any weirdness. It just had nice, subtle, like nutty notes in the middle of the profile. And of the last two, I found these two just very comparable that we just had. So take it or leave it. They're probably about the same price. So just maybe pick whatever one's on sale. Yeah, it's just hard trying to pick out decaf coffees in general just because some brands don't even carry them, and sometimes it's only just one. And so it's not even like a fancy one where they have these rare release ones. No, it's just like we made a decaf for whoever. So
yeah, it feels like a lot of companies don't really put a lot of effort into their decaf coffees, which is unfortunate because there's a lot of people out there that, you know, you can't tolerate the caffeine in coffee, or you're just trying to limit your caffeine intake, or maybe you just want to have a coffee in the afternoon without the caffeine in there. And so it's really unfortunate that a lot of companies just don't have these specialty decaf blends.
yeah.
As I feel like it's a really untapped market. So for my ranking, I would say the Allegro roast was the best coffee we tried. It had a really good flavor profile for being a decaf, followed closely by the Rock Canyon. And then if you want one from a bigger chain of coffee, I would say Tim Hortons was the best. They had a really good job.
I think I agree with that. I think probably this one was my favorite, followed by the Whole Foods bulk brand. And then, yeah, Tim Hortons, definitely the best out of the ground coffees. It actually was pretty good because it had a nice like nuttiness, that I think was like the key characteristic. I think this one was just by far the worst out of all of them. No matter how we tried it, it was...
Peet's, I don't know what you're doing with your coffee, but that one was not good.
Yeah, and then these two also just had a weirdness with them. Like, this one I thought was at the very end, and this one was like in the middle. I didn't like either of them, so I would never buy these again for a decaf coffee.
Yeah, I would say the Dunkin one wasn't actually too bad. It was kind of bland and didn't really have much flavor in it. So it wasn't really offensive, but it wasn't great. Yeah. But Starbucks and Peet's just, they weren't good.
All right, so I hope you got something out of this if you're looking for a good brand of decaf. I know it can still be a challenge, so if you find a really good brand of decaf coffee that's either a chain or a local roastery, let us know down in the comments, and we'll definitely check it out in the future. And if you like this type of content, don't forget to subscribe so you can see future videos like this one. And if you want to see a video similar to this, check out the video on the screen right now. We'll see you again soon. Bye.